Ready? All right, so we have a quorum. John Florek is not here at the moment, but will be joining us. We'll go three. Do we have any minutes to approve?
I did not write them up this past time because it was mostly all just corrections.
Okay,
So I'll have to log them and then we'll put it all together for the next one.
okay. All right, so we left off at page 44, which would be 9321A. I had made a note, and there's no number, but I made a note to move it to 9060, which would fall right after 9040. Again, I don't know if we can do that, but it just seemed it would be more in order. And again, we can look at that later, but in between pages 16 and 17. It's duties of the Board of Ed. I think we included all that in his duties. 9100, organization of the Board of Ed. But this just kind of,
This is like the structure of the meetings, though.
yeah, so I just thought it would, because it talks about the organizational meeting, whatever it is, the structure of the meetings. And we don't have to necessarily move it, but. And then the third paragraph, Board of Ed committee meetings, is repeated on 2 pages later in 9060, so we should probably,
Put it in one
I
place.
mean, 9321.1. So we should probably strike 9321.1 since it's an exact wordage of the other one.
Sounds good to me.
And we can, once we get the finalized stuff, we can kind of look at how this whole thing's organized.
Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't have any issues with that other than, I would move it myself personally, but I would strike 9321.1 since it's the almost exact verbiage of the third paragraph on 9321.
And those same legal references.
Yeah, that's what I'm
on
just-
9321B.
Yeah.
Okay, so then, I'd look for a motion then, I guess, to strike the entire section 9321.1.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dow,
Second.
seconded by Ms. D'Angelo Powers. Any discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
Motion passed unanimously. And I think the rest of it was okay, the 2 front pages. Just a small grammatical change on 9321B. Right above the legal reference, it says, if the meeting is rescheduled, there should be comma, at least 48 hours notice should be given to all board members and public. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll just add that comma, I don't think we need it. All right. And then I didn't have, and we've talked a little bit about this executive session stuff, I don't know how, but I think I think this is all kind of state statute and laws in here, so. But maybe, 93, 22, I don't know that we need to quote the state statute necessarily.
Where?
9322A, executive session. I think when John gets here, we can maybe ask him what, because we did have a little bit of discussion on it. So,
Why is this a bylaw?
well, exactly.
Why isn't it?
It is state statute. It's almost a quotation of state statute.
It is, but that's why I'm saying, why is it a bylaw? Why isn't it?
Doesn't necessarily need to be. And I think we have parts of it that already talk about executive session. Well, let's skip that one,
Yeah.
and we'll wait for John. On that one, so construction, delivery of the agenda, the first one's already stated in 9121. And I wrote for 2 and 3, find a new place for it. It's the superintendent shall prepare and submit to the board recommendations of matters requiring. And I don't even know, because the superintendent, if it has to do, he or she shall place before the board necessary and helpful facts, information, and reports on matters, and the superintendent shall at all times keep the board informed relative to educational programs. And we're going through policy, and that's in our policy,
Which part?
numbers 2 and 3.
Okay.
Number 1's already stated in 9121. The 2 section talks about what the superintendent's supposed to do, so shouldn't be a bylaw for
For the board.
the board, and at least 24-hour notice is already in page 44. So I would make a motion to strike this whole page.
At least one. Yeah. And that reference is already in,
Probably either page 44 or 9121.
9321.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think we do that though. We don't post our
Meetings?
meetings.
We do.
In the schools?
No, not in the
It says
schools.
they post it in the schools and readily available for parents, teachers, and general public. We post it at the town hall.
Yeah.
That's all we're required to do.
Yeah, and it's posted on our district website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that
And that's for the
reaches
schools, too.
everybody.
All right, so-
That's why I think we should strike, because that's not what we're doing.
Right.
So I look for a motion that, oh my God, it's not ink. To strike 9324.
You can use mine, come on.
Here's what,
Here.
take it. Yeah, this one's right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nope, this isn't pretty good. So you guys go with that?
Yes.
So motion to strike 9324,
So moved.
moved by Mr. Dell.
Second.
Second by Mr. D'Anza Powers. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. All right.
Meeting conduct.
So the second sentence, proxy voting, no, proxy voting is prohibited, that's okay. But it says, I wrote a note just that it should say, members must vote on all matters unless a legitimate conflict is declared.
Where are you seeing the,
That was just my note, it
To
doesn't
add?
sit, and I think we've,
if a member's absent though, but quorum's still there,
what's that?
members not necessarily vote on all matters, because if a member's absent,
Well,
present members.
all present members, well, I could say, yeah, all present members. So, let me just read through this again, no, maybe take
It's
it.
funny about the media disturbance, because that guy was like right up in our face.
That was so odd.
I felt like it was like that show Impractical Jokers. I had just seen a skit like that, and I was like, oh my gosh.
And he had absolutely no,
He was in the front, like, he was doing talk text.
yeah,
So I think this is already stated in other places too.
no, I haven't seen this.
Well, only matters appearing on the, so it does talk about, in the event the meeting of the board is interrupted by any person or group of persons so as to render the orderly conduct of such meeting unfeasible and order cannot be restored by the removal of individuals who are willfully interrupting the meeting. The members of the board conducting the meeting may order the meeting cleared and continue in session. Only matters appearing on the agenda may be considered in such a session. Duly accredited members of the press, except purposes of disturbance, shall be allowed to attend. Nothing in this section shall prohibit the board from establishing a procedure for readmitting an individual. So I've seen that somewhere else, chairman's, I've seen that. So we do have another section to declare a conflict of interest when it arises, an excuse, but it doesn't talk about members must vote, which I think they should be.
I think you should leave this one alone.
All right, well, I
And
want
add in the,
9325. I want to see if, I think it's in there somewhere. Where it talks about, meeting. I know that is, I've read it before, but. Regular meetings.
this is more like a conduct, is it under conduct and?
And there is, so we do have 9322A, does have a whole section on executive session, smoking.
Seems like two things that should go together.
Well, we could leave this for now, I guess. I don't know if I've read it in our policies maybe, but I have read that before, so.
Well,
So you want to leave that alone for now?
I think we should leave that alone.
All right, so I'll just make a note of that one.
I think if there's disturbances during meetings, that gives us a place to reference and,
Majority of the members shall constitute a quorum for the transaction of business. And that's just,
a definition, that's Robert's rules.
that's Robert's rules, do we need it?
Not really.
All right, so,
Although, does it say somewhere else that a quorum, it says elsewhere that a quorum is needed in order to,
all right,
so then we should be able to strike this.
okay. So we will strike 9325.1?
Right, yeah.
Okay. So, a majority of all members shall constitute a quorum for the transaction, but it's just, I'm sure it's said elsewhere, and it's just.
We wrote that new voting criteria,
Mhm.
so I think that fits under there.
Okay, so motion to strike 9325.1.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. D'Angelo Power, second by Mr. Dow, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And do we have the consent agenda somewhere else in here?
No, that I made a note of, that we do not have that somewhere else.
But again, I've seen it somewhere, but it might not be in these bylaws.
But I also wanted to know if we have to limit it to, I mean, it says examples include, but do we need that example, like, can we cut this down a little bit, or?
Well, I mean, even contract with a new vendor, I don't think that should necessarily, I think that should have some discussion.
Right. I think any changes in procedures should not be consent agenda.
All right, minutes. It's a minute.
Contract should be removed from that. I mean, I don't think we should have this list
Mm.
because perhaps there is something that, something procedural that could be added to the consent agenda that we don't, you know what I mean, that we
Yeah.
don't need to discuss, but
And then just switching around though, because the consent agenda will be prepared by, it should say the chairperson of the board in consultation with the superintendent.
I was just gonna say that the consent agenda will be prepared in accordance with the agenda.
Okay. Will be prepared in accordance with agenda rules, regulations.
Yeah.
All right, discuss prior to action, however, the item. So, previous board meeting minutes, those are separate, we always do the minutes separate, you
There used
know?
to not be a consent agenda. I think it was put on the agenda probably around 2015 by that board.
Right.
And then I know, remember, you guys took the field trips out and the personnel document out
Mhm.
to put it under action.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't have to be there. It's,
It's if we need to use it
is there
first.
something that you had something that's repetitive over and over?
Right.
And that board just wanted field trips and the personnel document and
I think we have legit questions about these things, so. Committee and previous board meeting minutes. Office reports.
I mean, maybe we should just say routine, standard, non-controversial, and self-explanatory items
But it does
may
say
be
here,
placed on the consent
you
agenda.
can take, any member can take this,
Yeah.
please, they can take it off if they want to discuss it.
But I mean, I think,
I think Kristen Turbine, I don't think we need a list of exactly what needs to be, because every board is going to have a different.
right.
Well, I just feel like if we list something out, people are gonna be like, oh,
It has to
that
be
has to go on a
Yeah,
consent agenda,
where it doesn't have to.
Where I don't think it necessarily should.
Yeah.
So it should say maybe routine, standard, non-controversial, and self-explanatory items may be placed on the consent agenda.
Correct.
May be placed on the consent agenda. Oy.
Hello.
Anything.
And then get rid of examples all the way
Yes.
down.
All right, so then the changes, we're on 9325.3.
Okay.
So the motion would be to change the second paragraph of the consent agenda will be prepared in accordance with agenda regulations. The fourth paragraph, routine, standard, non-controversial, and self-explanatory items may be placed on the consent agenda, and striking examples include in all the examples.
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. D'Angelo Bauer, second by Mr. Bell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed unanimously. Mr. Florek has joined us, and he will continue with the conversation.
Should we go back to that?
Yeah, I wanted to go to 9322, I think it
Executive
was.
session.
So it's executive session. Now, we have a section, 9322A. We have a section further up, I stumbled across it, looking for something else a little while ago. We have a whole section on executive session.
Yep.
I love
And this
one.
just seems like it just is a cut and paste of the state statute.
For the most part, you could. And
Is it
from-
terrible to echo it?
The problem is that it's, for example, under executive sessions, it talks about the reasons that you can go into executive session. And while these are the reasons for executive session, there are many more.
Well, that's it. This says executive sessions may be held upon 2/3 vote of the members and voting taken
Right,
at the public meetings for only one or more of the following reasons and may not be held for any other reason.
there are, according to the state statutes, there are numerous reasons you can go into executive session, most of which come in to under Section 5. Discussion of any matter which would result in the disclosure of public records contained therein, described in subsection B of Section 1-10. There's probably about 19 reasons more than here that you can go into executive session for.
Then why does ours say for not for any other reason?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about.
I don't know. I mean, it looks like when it was drafted, whoever drafted it tried to give the board some idea of the fact that executive session was restricted, but try to do it in a shorthanded manner.
I don't know that this list encompasses entirely the statute, though.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't, and there's statutory references here, so you can leave this type of thing in there as guidance for the Board of Education, okay? Or you could simply delete it and say that in its conduct of all meetings, the Board of Education will comply with the requirements of the Freedom of Information Act, Connecticut General Statutes 1-200 through 1-228 or whatever it is. I'm not opposed to leaving it all in because it gives a roadmap,
Right.
But it's also not,
But it's not accurate.
it's not accurate.
It's not an accurate roadmap.
All right. This one I saw something. This one. So do you want to shrink it down to that?
Well, I think we need to remove that because it's not accurate. I think if executive sessions may be held upon a 2/3 vote of members present and voting taken at public meeting should stay, but we should strike for only one or more of the following reasons and may not be held for any other reason. And then 1 through 5.
Or executive sessions may be held upon a 2/3 vote of the members present and voting, because that's what the statute says. Need a supermajority
To go into
to
executive
go
session?
into executive
Okay.
session. Taken at a public meeting for reasons as set forth in section whatever it is of the Connecticut General Statute.
231,
I'll look it up in a second here.
231.
I'll tell you in a second. Let me look it up. So, yeah, so one of the following reasons, and you can leave 1 to 4 if you want. And in 5, it is section 1-210. Sections,
Access to public records.
yeah. And you see how many, there's 26, 28.
I have this handbook that we got from Cave, and this language came straight out of this.
Oh, yeah.
So,
So what do we want to do?
so I mean, you could leave those 5, and you could also append to 5, as the same may be amended from time to time. And then you can add a number 6. Any other reason permitted by the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act. That's what I would do.
So what is number 6?
Any other reason?
Permitted by the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act.
And then on the next page is the motion to go into executive session. Shall identify the person in addition to the board, or shall be invited to attendance. Person invited in the executive session, so be limited to persons needed to present testimony or opinion
Yeah.
pertaining to matters.
That's all in statute.
Yeah. Do we want to include, I mean, it's not a bad reference.
No, I mean, like I said, you could probably delete the whole thing and just say, see Connecticut Freedom of Information Act, but leaving it provides a blueprint,
Right.
a
Right.
roadmap.
Something to refer to.
Right, exactly.
So the public meeting section above, is that something we want to keep or eliminate?
Where are you?
So on the same page, the top of the page, public
Yeah, I
meeting?
think that's fine. I
Okay.
think
Yeah.
the Chancellor social meeting and caucus,
Yeah.
that's all that language.
Yeah. That tells you what a meeting is not, or what is not a
Right.
meeting.
Okay. So you want to make a motion of what we're doing there?
I would move to modify 9322A by adding the following. To number 5, under executive sessions, after Connecticut General Statutes, as the same may be amended from time to time, and adding a number 6, which states, any other reason permitted by the Connecticut Freedom of Information Act.
So moved.
Second.
And then do we want to call the next page, do we want to call that number 7? Or do we want to just leave it as a standalone?
Leave it as a standalone. That's different than
That's the, yeah,
reasons
Okay.
to
So,
amend to-
agreed.
Motion by Mr. Flork, second by Ms. Angela Powers. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. Do we need a section on smoking?
I guess it still needs to be stated.
Do you need it, and you don't need it, but does it hurt? I mean,
It's
I mean, there's no smoking allowed
It's a
in
state
the
law,
building.
so.
I know,
There's no smoking allowed in buildings.
I know.
Strike it.
Motion to strike the section on smoking by Ms. Angela Powers,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Dell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed unanimously. So then the next, non-meetings.
Now, this is kind of a little bit duplicative of what's the introductory paragraph of 9322A under public meetings, but it's a little more detailed. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it.
Well, it's just pages, we don't.
I know.
I mean, if it is duplicative, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get rid of it.
I think you need it.
I think we need it.
It's about quorum and meeting out in public or caucusing.
It's also
But
about,
that's already stated.
it's also
Other
about like the
places.
personnel meetings that should not be recorded, you know, things like that should not be recorded because it's not a meeting.
And your collective bargaining meeting.
Yep, and the CBA meetings and,
Okay. All right, so you guys wanna leave it?
yeah, those
Yeah, leave
things
it.
should not be recorded or up for recording purposes at all.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
And then the same with the next page, C.
C.
Page 49. It starts
Oh,
off,
9322C.
yes, sorry.
Okay.
That's about the collective bargaining agreement, yeah, leave that alone.
Okay. All right, then we'll hop back to,
Teresa, you can also remove the references to smoking in school facilities.
so then we go to, which one is this? Parliamentary procedures, 90, it starts at the bottom of the page, 9325.3,
It's just the Robert's Rules of
where it
Order.
says the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order shall govern the proceedings of the board except when in conflict with board policy. So, well, so we just went through,
So where are you?
so we just went through,
Keep going.
page
We
53.
did some while you weren't here,
Oh,
we
okay.
skipped back to that, sorry.
Oh, I see, the 9325.3.
Yep,
Yes.
Yeah, that's, you need that because, but it shouldn't be board policy.
No.
It should be,
Common sense.
no. So you have your rules of procedure.
Right.
That's what your bylaws are,
Right.
okay? Policies are something different. So the way it normally works is so each body has its own set of bylaws, its own set of procedures. But you can't cover everything. So the default is, if it's not here, then you fall back on Robert's rules, and that's how you run your meetings. That's what governs.
so then it should be board bylaws.
Except when in conflict with these bylaws.
So, but I would like to see this pushed somewhere. I
Else.
moved to page even 51, which was meeting conduct, or somewhere back in, somewhere else. We can figure out a place to look once we, I don't know that it needs its own page, you know?
No, it probably doesn't need its own page.
I think that's one of those one-off things that we can figure out once we have
Yes.
the clean version in front of us,
So then should we just
the finalized
make a
version.
motion to change it to board bylaws, in conflict with board bylaws?
I would make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Fleur,
Second.
second by Mr. Dell. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And I mean, this should almost be in a spot where, because we had talked about the voting rules, you
Yeah.
know, by a majority of all elected, whatever, however we see it, elected,
Right.
Board of Ed, and that there was another spot where it talked about, further back, and I said, all members must vote on all motions unless they can declare
Yeah,
a legitimate conflict. So those kind of would, this would kind of lump into that, and I don't know if it's somewhere else, but, all right.
yeah.
And then, so the next one,
Point 4?
so we did a motion, yeah, point 4, vote recording. All votes shall be by a voice, yea, nay, or abstention, except as noted.
But again, you see, this says,
Yep. Of all members present.
right, exactly. So you need to change that to be consistent with the language you previously used. You know, whatever it was, all members of the board seated, members
All
of the board.
present members.
No, not all present members, all seated members. We use that language somewhere.
Somewhere around
Back
there.
here. You know, so the key is you want to keep that consistent, whether, you know, in order to pass something, an affirmative vote of the entire membership of the board is required, a majority, not just those people who are present.
Right.
And we did,
But I don't remember where we put it, but it's in there.
right.
Teresa, can you do a search of the document when you're doing that to make
So
that
it-
consistent?
So this, and this kind
Yeah,
of just
I
says
would
too
make
that
sure
you
that-
have to.
No, I mean,
so
like, can you do like a
on
word search
non-substantive,
in,
substantive
Probably.
Yeah.
Do that.
Votes.
I don't want to make it
in
difficult
favor.
for you to have to go and read it
Yeah.
all.
Oh, yeah,
But on
you-
things like policy and numbers,
Yeah, it's a PDF
you
file.
go to a roll call.
Yeah, if you do like a find
I don't,
word or
is
whatever.
there somewhere in here that says that? I mean, it
No.
says that in the council,
Yeah.
in the charter, okay?
It doesn't say that here.
But,
What's up?
so,
That on substantive issues, a roll call vote needs to be taken. That's kind of what this says.
yeah,
I think that's
but how
what
do you
it
define a
means,
substantive issue, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it lists some
mean,
things, but I think.
If you make Robert's rules your default mechanism,
Yeah.
okay? I know that there's a provision in Robert's rules that says, it talks about voting, voice votes and raise your hand, however you do it. But I know there's a provision that says that if somebody requests a roll call vote, you know, you should be granted, okay? And it wouldn't take long to do a roll call vote on what you vote on.
And I think well, I
Seven
just,
people.
so I think 9325.1, I don't know if we skipped it, it says quorum. A majority of the members shall constitute a quorum.
Right.
For the transaction.
Right, so you can have the meeting,
Right.
but the question is, at the meeting, how many votes, how many affirmative votes does it take to approve something?
So the way this is written, a majority of the members shall constitute a quorum, but it should say the majority of the members,
No,
no.
a majority of the members, so you've got 7 people.
Mhm.
You need 4 people to have a quorum, to have a meeting. If you don't have 4
Okay.
people here,
Majority of the members.
you can't have a meeting.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
That's a different question than, okay, so we have 4 people here. We have a quorum.
We're gonna vote on something.
We ought to vote on something. How many votes does it take to
How
pass
many votes
that?
does it take to
Right.
pass that and that?
Take all 4.
You take all 4.
Yeah.
Right,
By the way, we've done it now by using that language, board members seated, you know, meaning the whole board.
So it almost seems like all of these little one-off little notes should be consolidated into something somewhere.
one procedural
Yeah.
section.
You know, and even this, where it says, you know, these are the things, but to the same point, there are a whole bunch of other things, which like policy or, you know, other, and maybe you can just classify this or other substantive matters or
I just don't know how to define what a substantive matter is. you
as
know?
determined by the chair, whatever.
You could do it that way.
Or
I
you,
guess.
or you just reverse it and say, you know, all non-substantive matters, you know, I don't know.
Again, the problem I have is defining it. I mean, it's easy, it's easy the way it's done on the town council.
Right.
Because there's language that says, town council can only act by ordinance or resolution. There's only 2 ways the town council can act, okay? And then there's another provision that says, in order to pass an ordinance or a resolution, a majority of the entire membership is necessary. You know, so that backs into it, meaning whatever comes before a council, you need 6 votes. Doesn't matter how many people you have there, you may have 7 people, which is a quorum, you may have 6 people, which is a quorum, but you still need 6 votes to pass anyway.
Right.
But that's easy, that's because the council only acts by 2 ways, ordinance or resolution, you know? It's a little different on the board.
Yeah. So, I mean, do we want to just kind of let this sit for now? And take a,
Yeah, I mean, I think if we can deal with it now, we should do
all
it.
right, well,
Just that the board is, it's not saying it's right, but the board has always done, I know Mike knows that, if 4 members are present, they would still take action as long as 3 voted for it. That's the way it's been done.
But that's being changed now by the language that we previously put into the bylaws. When we talk about what's the vote that's required is an affirmative vote of the members of seated. 7, meaning
Seven.
7. An affirmative vote of a majority of 7.
So no matter how many people were there, it would
You
take
need
4
4
to.
need
to
4
do
in
it.
order
Yeah.
to
Right.
pass.
That's what they're talking about changing it.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to clarify.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So, and this, so it says, all votes shall be voice, yea or nay, or absent, except as noted below.
Where are you now?
That's
93, 25, 40,
4,
4.
44.
93, 9325.4.
320.
You do that pretty much now, like with your roll call votes on the election.
Yeah, significant things, I'll do a roll call vote. And it says, except as noted below.
Yeah.
And these are all things that you would do a roll call vote.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to specifically say the following will require a roll call vote, you can do that.
Yeah, but I don't know,
But
you know,
those are important things.
yeah,
You want something on the record indicating, who voted.
Yeah.
there's the affirmative vote of the majority of all members of the board present duly recorded showing,
But we're changing that.
Yeah.
From present to
in order to
seated.
take action on the following subject, so it's just, I think it's poorly written in general.
Yeah.
So I think that first sentence you don't even need,
Well,
because it states it down below, the affirmative vote of majority of all members elected, seated, whatever, duly recorded, showing how much member voted shall be required in order to take
shall
action
be
on the
required
following.
in the following subjects.
Yeah,
But it doesn't hurt to keep something in that says any other votes shall, can be.
well, this says except as noted below, then you would need to have some items there.
Yeah.
So that, it says except as noted below, but then it doesn't give you anything noted below.
Well, not there, but I think what it's supposed to refer to is these 5 items.
Those
there.
5 items, it's all
Yeah.
one, it's all one document.
But it
It
says
is
a voice.
poorly written, I know that.
It says a voice vote by everybody,
Mhm.
except as noted below. But then it says these are the things that you have to do a voice vote on.
Correct.
So I don't think you need that, again, that first sentence.
We do need that first sentence, because that says if we're not voting on one of these things, you can do an all in favor vote.
All votes shall be via voice, yea or nay, except as noted below. It says all the votes need to be by a voice vote. And the things below, says all the things that have to be by a voice vote.
Well, everything needs to be by a voice vote. We can't, that means we can't nod our heads. You have to voice your thought. You have to say yay or nay. We can't just say, it has to be on record.
Okay.
I think you should keep it. If you want to clarify the
I
acceptance
think
noted
that,
below.
that's the part that's the problem, the except noted below, because that's not noted below.
Well, and I guess if you read it differently.
Every vote needs to be a voice vote, yea, nay, or abstain.
All
Then-
votes.
Yeah, all votes. And then the affirmative vote by the majority of the members on the board, that all should stay. I think you could take out the,
Except as noted below.
yeah.
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 All right, so we're going to remove the except as
That's
noted below. And then, but it should say somewhere in here, but not, be required in order to take action on the following subjects, but not limited to, it should be required, but not limited to the following subjects, or, 'cause otherwise we're going to define everything that has,
Well, but
policy.
again, what you're saying here is you gotta take a roll call vote on these 5.
Mhm.
okay? Anything else, you don't have to. All votes have to be via voice, but you don't have to do a roll call vote on anything but those 5. And like I said, because Robert's Rules allows people to ask for a roll call vote, even when we don't need it. So,
I mean, so then if we're gonna, I would just like that in the policy amendments. Is it number
as
six?
number 6,
Yeah.
that's an important thing, right?
All right, so then with this one here, all votes via voicemail, yea or nay or abstention. The motion would be to remove except as noted before, and to add number 6 as policy amendments.
Amendments or adoption of policy?
Yeah.
Adoption of.
Or amendment.
Adoption of policy.
Adoption or amendments.
Well, but, oh, whatever, okay. Okay, so that's the motion. That's second.
Second.
Second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
See, if
passes.
we changed that first line, you wouldn't have been able to do that. Just busting chops.
And what is this next section here?
Oh, it's numbered here.
Attendance, oh, because I got it at the top of the page, at the bottom
This
of
is
the
the
page.
electronic.
Electronic communications?
I mean, do we want to, is this just,
Well, what's it say? So, right now, the law allows meetings to be in person, virtual,
Or hybrid.
or a hybrid,
Yeah.
okay? But you can have your own rules as to when, you can do a hybrid, and that's what it seems to talk about. If everybody can't be physically at the meeting, you can do a hybrid.
I think it says electronic participation
Right.
may only occur if the member is prevented from physically attending by personal illness or disability,
Right.
employment purposes, a family emergency, or another emergency.
Right. So you can limit it that way if you want. Whatever you all think is a better way to effectively run your meeting.
I mean, it came in handy when John and I were having children, so.
and doesn't it say that somewhere?
In here?
Yeah,
What?
just about virtual meetings,
Yeah, that's,
not just this, but,
Somewhere else? I don't remember seeing it.
so do we want to leave this set as is?
You guys have to decide whether this is an effective tool for running meetings.
I think it's necessary to leave that in, yeah. As long as the law exists,
Mm-hmm.
right now, I think that's,
And then there's a part in there, and I don't know, is this the statute, the law, where it says that if a member loses, must be present for the entire conversation, before they can vote on it. And if they lose their connection,
Yeah.
then I forget, I forget exactly what it is, but there's a remedy for that. I don't know if
I'm sure it's in the statute, the enabling statute,
Yeah.
which allows for virtual meetings.
yeah, when it says for the record, a quorum of board members shall be physically present
Right.
when a board when a
Right.
member attends.
That's one of the requirements of further up.
It says down here under guidelines about if you can't hear, if the board member determines either condition is not occurring, he or she shall terminate the board's attendance through the electronic communications. So that's if their communication was lost.
Yeah,
It gives you the authority as chairperson to do that. And I think we all know that that's a very common experience in
yeah, I mean,
in
it's
remote meetings.
difficult. It's difficult. Like the one meeting that I had to do, I think, was at Stratford High,
Mhm.
and you probably should have terminated it. It's terrible sound.
Well, we could hear you.
No, you could hear me. I was
Yeah,
watching it through my phone.
and then this talks about a roll call vote if somebody is not there. All right, so we'll just leave that one?
I couldn't hear it on the Zoom call or whatever it was that I was on, but I was watching it on my iPad at the same time, so.
Yeah, I mean, if this works for you,
All right, we'll leave it for now, and then we'll take a look.
because
at
the
it
law allows for
A
it.
little consolidate, you know, a little bit. So 9326, they're both already stated.
I think we already motioned to strike that one. Did we already strike that? Huh?
I don't have it.
No, we haven't been here yet.
Well,
So 9326 is already stated.
we can get rid of that.
So a motion to strike 9326.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Dell, seconded by Mr. Flork. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. And the other thing it should say in there is a non, it's in Robert's Rules of Order, but a non-verbal vote is a vote in the affirmative.
A non-verbal vote.
You know, you
Well, that's
call
why
for
that's
a
top
verb-
set.
If somebody, all those in favor, opposed, if somebody doesn't voice.
Oh, if somebody doesn't say no.
If somebody doesn't say
right.
yes or no, it's a
Then
vote.
yeah. Well,
So then,
I don't know if Robert's rule says that.
pretty good. I've always thought it did, but good enough, but, yeah. So 9326.1,
I have a note to move this to 9124A.
which is page 22.
9124A.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's in the recording.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have an A, I have a 9124.
No, but this would become 9124A.
Right, move to 9124A.
And is that stated somewhere, or no?
No,
Okay. Well, I put page 22, which is 9124 as well, so,
all right, so then we'll move it, it's gotta be its own section though.
okay. Does it?
Well.
And so, well, how about the one below it, broadcasting, recording devices?
I think that.
Yeah, I mean, that's, again, part of the freedom of information
Yeah.
statute. You can't deny somebody the right to tape a meeting or even photograph or videotape it. You can control it and manage it by saying you can't obstruct the proceedings or you can't.
See, we should have called this into action the other night.
Oh,
Our
yeah?
last meeting, we had a very aggressive photographer that was getting
Oh,
all
is that
sorts
right?
of angles of us from every direction. And
He
He
stood
had
over
no-
poor Heather's shoulder.
he had no idea of how much of a distraction he was being on purpose, I thought. I don't know.
So, and I figure we can't stop them, but.
No, but we
Like-
can, apparently.
You can, yeah.
Yeah, apparently we can.
Very awkward.
So then we want to just move this to 91?
20, make it 9124A.
Hey,
Okay.
Yeah,
So motion to move 9326.1 to 9124A.
So moved.
Mr. Dell, seconded by
nothing.
Mr. Flor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed unanimously. I wrote on here John, I wrote on John Flor, 59 to 66. All these next
Is that
pages.
9327?
This is all the electronic communications.
Our meeting's at 6:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. that's right. Like on page, on the first one, board members shall email messages, substitute deliveries.
Let's do that
Board shall
last.
not use email or other electronic
Yeah.
messaging services as subject to deliberation and the board member may discuss.
Let's, I think Kristen has a good idea. Let's put that in back, because that's a little bit more complicated. Because, yeah, you guys can email amongst each other. But if you have a quorum and the members of the board emailing
Constitutes
about
a
an,
meeting.
yeah, about an issue that is being discussed in public, well, that's a meeting in and of itself.
Same thing with text.
The same thing with text. Yeah, so let's, I think we ought to just put that aside and take a good look at what it says.
So that's like the rest of this then?
No, not really.
But that's at least 3 pages, right?
Yeah.
So we will leave for now then?
Yeah, it's a big one.
9327A,
Has it got a number? Yeah, there's A,
B, and C.
A, B, and C will stand as is.
We'll
Okay.
come back to that.
And that pushes us to 9330A,
Yes.
which is board school district records.
Mhm.
I mean, this should almost be a policy.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay. So this is 1, 2, 3. Minor products. So
3
If-
pages.
if we could make a motion, do we want to just send this to the policy committee?
Yep.
Okay. So if we could, do we want to take this out of our bylaws?
Well, it should be, I think it's more of a policy than a bylaw.
So then for now, we will make a motion to, well, if it's a policy, then let's get rid of it. And we'll send it to
Well,
the
here,
policy
send it to
committee.
your policy.
So a motion to take 9330A, B, and C, and send it to the policy committee for review. And strike it
So
from our bylaws.
So
Moved by Mr. Dow, second by Mr. Flork, any discussion?
Just the availability of records, should we keep that in case we need to obtain any of these records?
Let's see.
Wait, what? Say that?
I just had a question about 9330B,
Yeah.
And
the
that's in,
availability of records.
that's in the Freedom of Information Act, though.
Well, that's what this is. So, if a Freedom of Information request comes in for a record, you're required to either grant it or deny it within 4 days. Okay, you can't just sit on it. Doesn't mean that you have to provide all the records sought within that 4-day period of time, because it could be, the records could be voluminous, you might have to track them down, you might have to search, but you have to give the citizen an answer within that 4-day window. We're either we're gonna grant it, it may take us a little more time, we need a reasonable time, but we're gonna get it to you. Or, no, you're not entitled to it because of this exemption or this waiver of non-disclosure, we're not gonna give it to you. You have to provide that answer within 4 days. That's what this Freedom of Information Act says, okay? So that's what this is getting at. If the district does not provide or deny access within 4 business days, the district shall furnish a written acknowledgement of the receipt of request and a statement of the approximate date when the request will be granted or denied. If access to the records is neither granted nor denied within 10 business days, the request may be construed as a denial. That last part of it's not really part of the Freedom of Information. That's your policy.
And where are you reading that?
9330C.
Oh, see, the next page of that.
Mhm.
But that is part of the Freedom of Information Act, no, that you have to acknowledge it.
Yes, but the last sentence,
Yeah.
if access is neither granted or denied within 10 business days, the request may be construed as a denial of the access. That came from here someplace.
So,
Can we determine that though?
What?
Is that something that we can say?
That it's not part of the Freedom of Information Act?
no,
No,
we
that-
can just make it
That we
after
can just
it.
make an extra 10 days there?
I don't think No, you can. I mean, the Freedom of Information Act is what it
Right.
is. So I think they were trying to,
Buy themselves a little time?
yeah, you know,
I don't think that's
Or
what
to-
we can say.
or to clear up a gray area.
But it says if it's 10 days, I mean, some of the information takes more than 10 days to gather.
But again,
But that's not what it's
It
saying.
You have
says
to-
4 days just to make
Right.
determination whether you have it, and then you have the
Correct.
time to gather it.
you have to give them a determination within 4 days. You either want to give it to you or we're not going to give it to you.
Right.
But we
Send
need a little
an-
more time.
We send an acknowledgement saying,
Right.
this acknowledges receipt of your act, the
Right.
information will
And-
be
and-
gathered in a timely
In
manner.
a timely manner. So
Right.
once you give them that determination, you have a reasonable time to gather.
That's all it
you know.
says, a reasonable time.
Right.
I'm not sure what the exact language of the statute is, but I mean,
That's it.
it's obvious you can't sit on it for a year. You know, but again, if you've got exigent circumstances and things are going on and have to be addressed, and we just don't have time to spend the 2 hours that's gonna be necessary tracking down these records, well, a reasonable time might be 2 weeks, a month. It depends, you know, on the
But
circumstances.
again, that's more of a policy than a bylaw of the board, because it's, you know,
Or it's covered under Freedom of Information Act.
It's definitely covered in the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
But I mean,
that's
if
what I
you
think
wanted
it's-
to put it someplace, it'd probably be better policy. That's the board's policy.
I think we read through
That's
that one
what
a
we're
little
gonna
more
do.
too.
Well, let's send it to policy and let them,
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
and let them look at it, because I
Yeah.
think that's where it should be.
yeah.
All right, but that'll give us the chance to review it. And just keep, make a note to yourself that maybe we want to include, once we get into the freedom of information stuff or whatever it is, that we want to maybe include that in another spot. So, but so for now, we're going to delete all three, 8, 9, 330, A, B, and
We'll
C.
send it to the policy.
Send it, are you okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. So we've had the discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion passed unanimously. All right, I think this is the last section. Should just strike it for that.
Well, this is about grading yourselves, I think.
Clear nose. Well, this is, it's 9400. Bylaws of the Board of Ed. Monitoring products and processes.
Yeah.
No, that's a continuation of, never mind. I
No,
thought it
it's-
was a yeah, it is. It's a
That's
continuation of the 93.
That's board self, that's like you're evaluating yourself.
Yeah.
That's a tool, like if the board would do a board evaluation, it's a self-evaluation.
Yeah.
So
So
the
it-
board may willingly take on difficult tasks, pushing for a task of grading themselves, an effective, maybe essential feature, the following dishes are crucial to evaluate.
So, I mean, do you have a concrete process where this goes on every year? Do
No.
you do a self-evaluation?
Past boards have done self-evaluations.
Yeah.
But not everyone.
In informal self-evaluations, there's no like paper process to it.
There
That we've
was.
seen. There was?
In the
Okay.
past, there was a process, there was a paper process, and they would actually share some of their results.
I mean, there's a section in there, I think, where it talks about the board shall evaluate itself, but it doesn't in the earlier,
Yeah, I think you're right.
but it doesn't lay out a criteria to do that.
Yeah, I mean, this language basically, I think, speaks in terms of encouraging you to do it, but it doesn't require it,
Right.
from what I see
I
here.
think it was a CAVE, because CAVE did these probably back before 2008 the
Yeah.
first time.
Yeah,
And they also have the process of like self-evaluating and different tools.
yeah. So, I mean, if you want to, if you think it's valuable and you want to continue it, it should belong in the bylaws. You know, it's not a policy, it's
So let's
a
leave
method and
it,
procedures.
let's
The way
leave it
we're
there
gonna
for
do
now.
it, you know, so.
You guys okay with leaving it there for now?
Sure.
Okay. That would take us to the end.
Except for the one we bypassed, which was
The electronic.
the
Oh,
electronic
yeah.
communication.
Was that, but that's the one we sent to the,
No, we didn't
No.
have that.
Okay.
We We set it aside and said
The
we'd take
emails
a more
and
in-depth
What
look
was
at
the
it.
number of that?
93,
9327.
27A.
Yeah, 9327.
And B.
A, B, and C.
All right, so, I guess the next step, I know, Teresa, you've got a pretty well detailed edited list. Maybe you could just take care of today's stuff and send us those, just those pages? Or even just print them and we can come by and pick them up?
Sure.
And then at our next meeting, we'll take a month, we'll get them, take a month, review all the stuff. And then, our next meeting would be town committee, so I don't know if we can meet that night. But we'll pick a night where we can meet and review it all,
Okay.
and see where, because there's a lot of consolidation in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it would be good to just digest and see where, it'd make it a little easier, because, a lot of today was, I think I saw it here, I think I saw it there.
Yeah,
So just,
we just don't know where. so
yeah, we're
when you
just
get there.
consolidating it, and we're looking at a more,
Closer.
yeah,
Okay.
condensed format, so, you guys are good with that?
I'm good with
And
that.
then,
Sounds good.
and then at that time, when we come back, we'll discuss 9327, A, B, and C.
Okay.
Okay.
So the meeting won't be the first
Well,
Thursday?
you could probably do
You
it.
could probably do it.
It's a 5 o'clock meeting, so.
Yeah.
They also have that reading thing happening for the district, so I was hoping to take my son, so if we don't do it, I will.
On the same day, the same night?
Yeah, the district's having a reading night,
Yeah, so maybe
we
that's
just got the
not,
invite today.
What's the
But
date?
if we argue, that's fine, I think that's early enough, 5, if you do it at 5. That's all I was asking.
What's the date of it?
December 5th, right?
Fifth, yeah. Right, isn't that the reading thing? I was like, I think so.
Well, let's
I can invite.
let's pick another night, let's do it before Christmas.
I just got it
Okay.
in today.
I won't be here the 10th through the
I
17th.
think it's a district board.
Maybe we go that Wednesday the 4th?
I cannot do Wednesday the 4th.
Okay. Monday the,
We have finance Wednesday the 4th,
do we really?
that's what my phone says.
We do.
All right, well, how about let's, and you're not the 10th through the 17th.
I'm
so-
gone the 10th through the 17th.
So we'll send out a couple, I don't know, I'll grab my calendar, make something up. I can't-
Why don't we do it at 5 before
Yeah.
the finance meeting?
On the 4th.
Wanna do that?
Yeah,
Is that, what day is that? Wednesday?
it's
Wednesday the 4th.
Wednesday, December
Wednesday the 4th, 4 PM. Okay, so we're
I
gonna,
think we can. do
is that, you're raising your eyebrows, so, no? Okay. Wednesday the 4th, so we're gonna cancel the regularly scheduled meeting on the 5th due to lack of quorum, and we're gonna schedule a special meeting on the 4th
From 5 to 6.
from 5 to 6, at which time, or 6:30,
6:30.
6:30, yeah. At which time we will go through the condensed version and review 9327A, and hopefully put together a final draft at that point. Motion adjourned.
So moved.
Mr. Dow, seconded by Mr. Fleur, all those in favor?
Teresa's hand, yes, say aye.
Yep.
No, they were just talking